remember, there's invisible music you can't hear. That's our intro, though. So it's playing in the back of your heads. Do 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 do. Hey everybody! Welcome to another episode of the Geek and Podcast. I am Ramon Mejia. This is episode number 98, and this guy here is the amazing, ever-present
Edgardo Acosta.
Very
Hey,
much.
how's it going?
Hey everybody! And this week on the podcast, we're going to talk about, of course, all the Geek and Tech news that came out this week. That's fit to print, and to talk about, of course, anything else we're interested in this week, including some of our great things we're looking forward to in 2017. But before we begin, we do want to give a quick shout out to some of our Patreon supporters, Jay Taylor and Greg Horlock.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys, thanks a lot. Jay has raised his pledge from $3 to $5 a month. And we have an entirely new pledger, Greg Horlock, who has pledged $15 a month for the podcast, this one, and the Lit RPG podcast at our Patreon page. So thanks a lot, guys.
Dude, you guys are awesome.
That is pretty awesome. I think our highest level is $10 right now.
Right.
So he beat that by a whole another $5. I think we're gonna have to rearrange
Challenge is set.
our tier of support stuff for anyone who wants to, because he's set a new bar apparently. So thanks a lot, Greg. We appreciate that. We are going to go into, of course, our regular show. In Geek News, we're going to talk about
Drew Barrymore's Zombie Show, Carrie Fisher's Episode 9 role, the best and weirdest tech out of CES, and what we're looking forward to in 2017.
We are going to begin our show, though, with, of course, Geek News. We'll start with you, man. I forgot to color code today.
It's alright. Okay, so we begin with Drew Barrymore's zombie TV series. Drew Barrymore, star of film and stage, has an upcoming Netflix comedy series, Santa Clara Diet. Sheila, played by Drew Barrymore, and Joel Hammond, played by Timothy Oliphant. First time I've seen that name. Are married realtors in the Los Angeles suburb community of Santa Clarita. In the series premiere, we learn that Sheila goes a dramatic change as she dies and comes back as a flesh-eating zombie. It explains that while they tend to open their houses and teenage daughter, the couple must... Is that Sate?
Yeah.
Sate. Sheila's unbridled ID and undead hunger. First with raw meat, and then eventually humankind.
That's right. Drew Barrymore is going to be in a zombie television show. That's where her career is right now. I mean, it's a Netflix show, so it could be amazing, but it still seems kind of like a step down for, a movie star like her.
Honestly, movies in general, like, let's see, it's the business of entertainment has changed, and you got to give a lot of credit to Netflix on it. There's a lot of movies that would have been, at the time, straight to DVD.
Yep.
Pieces of crap, sorry to say. But if not, they're just given a chance/opportunity on Netflix.
Yeah, but Netflix has also set the stage for like some really good original content. So it's not necessarily that these are the things that wouldn't have made it on regular television, or they wouldn't have made it on a movie screen. These are things that are intentionally designed for the format of Netflix, where it's a binge watching kind of system, or things that have come out that wouldn't have been a chance on television because they didn't meet rating standards or whatever.
Yeah, this is the other way of like cult following. Plus, hey, less literal garbage in the landfills.
Yeah, hopefully so.
Can you imagine all these like those...
And again, Netflix doesn't have to answer to sponsors or to viewers really. They just put the content out. If it's great, it sticks. The order a second season. If it doesn't, well, they don't mind taking risks on stuff because they have the opportunities to, so that other networks couldn't. Like, I don't know if you could do a bloody zombie movie like this on regular TV. Like, there's iZombie, which is kind of a cleaned up version of a zombie horror movie. And, Drew Barrymore does bring some good action chops. So I hope it's well. I just think it's funny that it's, a Drew Barrymore zombie movie show, a television show.
Honestly, hey, if you can marry Mr. Freddy Got Fingered, God, what's his name?
Freddy, he has fingers.
No, Freddy got I can't think of this is Tom Green. There you go.
Okay.
I had a sing the theme song for a second. Yeah, if you could marry Tom Green and survive, and especially being Drew Barrymore, her little like 10-year-old coke binge stuff growing
Which
up
is
as
a
a
really
kid.
long ways away. I don't think we're bringing that up.
Yeah,
But you know,
I will.
it's a lot.
I will.
Yeah.
But she's good. She's awesome. She's. I loved her. One of my favorite films that she's done was 51st Dates. I
Yeah,
loved her.
it's adorable. I watched it recently. And I found it less adorable.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just a different person because the film certainly hasn't
Times are
changed.
changing.
It's just that I've seen it a few too many times, I think, so it's not as surprising or as cute. And I watch older like romantic comedies and romantic films, and I find them to be more interesting. Maybe just because they're new, but also because they have better acting and
What do you consider?
dialogue.
What do you consider an older romantic comedy?
Like stuff from the 1940s or 50s or 60s.
Oh, okay.
Like way older stuff, and also stuff from the 70s and 80s and 90s. Like
That era.
better romantic comedies would be When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, I thought.
Or was it Joe Goes to the Volcano?
Okay.
Or
I was thinking.
Sleepless in Seattle, like really good classic comedies I can watch every year, and it still seems interesting, and I still find new jokes and new things that appeal to me as I grow older. Those are films that to me stand the test of time. And Drew Barrymore and the 54 Days, it's fine in like my teens and early 20s, but as I get old, I find it less funny because the jokes just feel repetitive and there's no larger subcontext in it that draws me in anymore. But we've gone off tangent here, guys.
Okay, I thought what you
But,
meant
yeah.
by older like romantic films. I thought you were talking about like Betty White hooking up or something with Ed Asner or something. like that.
Those would have been interesting films. I agree. But on to our next story. We have the Charmed reboot. Yep, that's right. The movie Charmed with three magical witch sisters is going to get a reboot on the CW. The network has ordered a script for the Charmed series and reimagining the original Aaron Spelling series. The show will be set in 1976, folks. That's right.
What? 70s?
Set in the 70s with a new trio of witches. So this is a very interesting choice for a script, in my opinion. What do you think of it? There you go, folks. That is an honest, grown opinion.
It's a show.
It's a show. We'll see if it sticks. Then that's kind of what it feels like.
Make it with black chicks.
Like the CW is going like, oh, here's a show that was popular. We'll shake it up and we'll throw it against the wall to see if the audience likes it. And they may. This may be really well written. But these period pieces that are set in the 70s and the 80s haven't traditionally done well. I can think of like one or two that have done decently, like the Goldbergs.
A period piece?
Yeah, it's in the 1980s. And as a television show, it gets all the charm right without all the bad actual stuff. It's very fantasy 80s kind of look to it and a feel. Like you get all the Voltron, He-Man, Karate Kid kind of things going on. Each episode is kind of different. Star Wars theme kind of stuff. So it feels very nostalgic without being overly accurate necessarily.
Well, that's,
you know what I mean?
That's the thing. And also depending on the complications of the cast, heaven forbid, obviously the previous Charmed cast did go through some changes.
They did.
In another lineups. And also, once again, period piece is another thing. Especially another show based in the 70s.
It's hard to get
that 70s show.
It's hard to get that good balance right. The 70s shows is a good example of them doing it right, where it was just enough nostalgia base, but not so much so that it felt like a documentary. So it's a word balance to get right, and not every show does it. Those are two examples that they got right, but there are a ton more that just didn't. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so it's hard. I hope they do well. I remember watching Charmed like on television reruns, and it wasn't my show, but I saw the appeal.
Totally.
So on to the next entertainment story, which is going to be Carrie Fisher related.
I'm reading this one.
Yep.
Sweet. All right, Carrie Fisher's role in Star Wars Episode 8 and 9. Here's some spoilers ahead, guys. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Fisher was originally supposed to have an even larger role in Episode 9 than she will in Episode 8. The reporter noted that the scenes feature Leia's reunion with her brother Luke Skywalker and her confrontation with her son Kylo Ren were planned to take place in the franchise. Though we have no indication just yet of which film will feature either both of these sequences, it's possible that the Skywalker reunion has already set for Episode 8, but that could still mean that we won't see Leia take on her fallen son.
Yeah, so this is some interesting information that's coming out of Disney Lucasfilms post Carrie Fisher's death, of course. Mostly because people were wondering, like, okay, what is her role in Episode 8? And what was her role going to be in Episode 9? Because they shot all her scenes for Episode 8. So whether they choose to use them or not, or reshoot, cutting her out is up in the air. But Episode 9 hasn't been on filming at all, so they can't include her in that, obviously, unless it's going to be some CGI work. But I do think it was interesting that she was going to have a very similar role that Han Solo did in Episode 7, and then she was going to confront her kid, reunite with her brother. I'm hoping she learned some Force stuff, but I think it was going to be a mother's love that was going to try to save her son instead of a father's approval, essentially, in the film, which kind of makes sense as far as from a kid standpoint, instead of from a Luke Skywalker to his father point of view, which is you're redeeming yourself for your child, that kind of situation. So as far as story wise, it makes a lot more sense that would work instead of it thematically and emotionally. It makes more sense for a kid to kill his father to take his place. Very very Greek tragedy kind of thing. But I am kind of curious to see where they're going to go with this once what they decide to do.
Yeah, because once again,
we were asking about this last week, like what was going to happen.
Yeah, because this is always the issue that we talked about, especially in a franchise. Once one of your main characters dies off in the real world, how are you going to continue? Because obviously you already had the preset storyline, either being a book or whatnot, and having to either replace or redo the whole story in general to adapt to the real life situation like
which
this.
is what they're doing for Episode 9, but I'm curious if they're going to adapt everything for Episode 8, which is the one that's coming out this year.
Yeah, because I can't think, to the best of my knowledge, can you name an actress that can kind of like seamlessly blend in and kind of take over the Leia role?
No, they could CG it up. Like they could have somebody who's close enough and then CG the effects for like some small non-close-up scenes maybe. Like in Episode 9 if they want to do it that way. I think it's more like they're going to adapt Episode 8 script and kill her off there. That way they don't have to worry about it in Episode 9 entirely. But that means reshooting and maybe redoing the entire script, or the end piece at least, for Episode 8. And I don't know if they've decided that yet.
Yeah, they can't do the Poochie approach or just, show...
Have her show floating.
The outline of the background and just bang, oh, Leia's dead now. We must continue on with Episode 8 and 9.
She just falls dramatically to the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a possibility. You never know. So I'm kind of curious to see where it goes. But we'll have to wait and see, of course. Moving on to next story. We have Ragnarok, Thor, synopsis leak. So again, more spoilers, folks. If you don't want to hear this, skip ahead of like 2 minutes. Okay, here's the synopsis. In prison on the other side of the universe, the mighty Thor finds himself in a deadly gladiatorial contest that pits him against the Hulk, his former ally and fellow Avenger. Thor's quest for survival leads him in a race against time to prevent the all-powerful Hela, played by Kate Blanchett. I wonder if she's a vampire in this. From destroying his homeworld and the Asgardian civilization. And so that's the theme. I can see how Thor's thrown there. Like, he flies through space on a pretty regular basis. How do you think they get the Hulk there, though?
Well, based on the comics, and I don't know if you watched the animated, the World War Hulk. They pretty much, the people ever send Hulk away, and he just messes around with the spaceship and ends up on a planet. But with the whole Thor story, not sure, because I'd love to see they showed a couple of like teaser things, but I'd love to see Hulk in a gladiator style arena in the Coliseum. So I think it's going to be cool, but I don't know exactly how it's going to work out, because unless Loki's free and kind of gets him, and they do that. They did say that the Rainbow Bridge teleporting.
They did say Loki Pokey is going to show up in this film.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but I think the betrayal is going to happen as well. Like, they're going to get tired of Hulk hanging around, destroying things uncontrollably, and so they're going to ship him off into space. And he's going to end up just like in the regular Thor comic, and the Thor, what is it, World War Hulk, yeah. Storyline where that's where he shipped off to. So I think that's how Hulk gets there. I think Thor is betrayed either by Loki or some other villain on Asgard, and then he's just kind of sent to the same place because he loses his hammer. I think that's going to be the beginning of the show. The rest of it, I have no idea. I have no hints at this. I haven't read the script besides this nice synopsis. But I am looking forward to the gladiatorial. So I've actually thought of including in that story I'm writing a gladiatorial Coliseum scene. So I'm like, oh, this is just the thing that's happening. Like the movie Gladiator is far enough in the past that people feel free to steal from it now.
Well, it's also, a little bit of a CG kind of cheating kind of effect that they could do is obviously Mr. Loki is a somewhat shapeshifter.
He is.
He could always turn into the Hulk.
Well, he wouldn't have the Hulk powers. He would just look like the Hulk.
Well, that's the thing.
And
Because
I think that would be a totally missed opportunity as far as like hero on hero battle. That's always a popular thing in both comics and animated movies and series is have your heroes fight each other. Those are always discussion among there's like who would win, the Hulk or Thor? And I'm going to vote Hulk personally. What do you think?
I, I
I mean,
just want to
remember
see how it's
Thor
going
does
to
not
go.
have his hammer though.
You know, makes a hand-to-hand combat. I don't know. I just want to see it go down because the main thing on it, because they showed the teaser at Comic Con. Hulk does have gladiator armor on.
Yeah,
So
I mean, Hulk is going to be underpowered as well. He's not going to have the infinite strength that he does on Earth because of the atmosphere of the planet, and so he's not also going to have super regenerability. So slightly underpowered Hulk versus no magic hammer Thor. Who do you think would win? No,
no, I have no
okay.
idea.
No, nothing from Edgar here, but I'm betting Team Hulk. I'm gonna have a when I go into that theater for this movie, I'm gonna have a big shirt that says Team Hulk on me. So there you go. On to our another segment of our great podcast here, folks. The CES highlights. CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, was this week, 2017. A lot of great stuff comes out of this thing. A lot of great future tech concept stuff comes out, and this week was no different. You had your regular appearances from concept cars. We have every single manufacturer producing some interesting concept cars, some fancy, spancy looking stuff. Things like automated vehicles were a big concept there, electric vehicles, all these fancy, futuristic looking things. And what I found interesting was that a lot of these are slated for like a 2018, 2020 release, so not that far in the future. But manufacturers are planning for automated cars, self-driving cars to be a thing. And so they're changing their design factors to be more of a living scenario inside the vehicle instead of just like a comfortable drive. So they can add more screens. They can add like along couches, selfie picture things. Or in some cases, they design within the hardware the ability for the car to drive itself and pick other people up and kind of earn its own keep in a way. And so those are very interesting things. But again, new cars are nothing new in CES. Also, you see your regular people from televisions. This year is not any different from theme last year. It's just more emphasized. Thinner televisions, televisions that curve their screens. Those were a big thing as well. Like televisions as thin as like 2 quarters, where most of the guts in the television actually is like a small little plug-in device beneath it, but the actual screen can go on the wall as if it's a piece of art or like your kid's drawing from school. So I thought that was kind of cool. But then there are the things that I thought were pretty cool. Was there anything at CES before we begin that you thought was pretty awesome?
I don't know. Just the concept cars. Even though like if you've seen Demolition Man, they're very kind of concept related on it. It looks almost like something out of Tron as well. So it's during those times, but I feel like as awesome and decked out as tricked out these cars are going to be, you're still going to see some Oldsmobiles and old Toyotas and Hondas still running around the street. So it's just going to be a time differential, even though it feels like the future slash a post-apocalyptic thing. As long as the engine runs.
That's very interesting. If you're going to see Tron cars next to like old mobiles.
Oh yeah.
With
depending on your neighborhood, you might see these more in the.
And it's not. And you're right. They're going to be very side by side.
Yeah.
Let me ask you: would you be willing to get like a first generation self-driving car, like fully self-driving, no steering wheel, it drives itself on the road? Would you be willing to get that one, or are you going to wait like generation 3 or 4 or 5?
I might wait because just like any kind of any electronics, the first generation systems, let's see what the faulty things are there, because it's going to take people to wear and tear, break it down, whatnot, to see what goes on, because they're, heaven forbid, they explode like a Samsung battery, on the 10th day.
No, these are valid concerns for some people. You're right, that those gigantic lithium powered batteries underneath those cars, they're almost the exact same technology as they have in your phones. They're just bigger versions, which means bigger explosions potentially. So, but those even those phone things are like a very small percentage of the overall number of phones in the world with that technology. So, it's not as big a concern for me, but I understand how it is for a lot of people because it's in the headlines. For me, I'm totally going to go one generation as long as assuming I have the cash, obviously.
Oh yeah,
But if I have the cash, I'll totally go one, generation one self-driving car. Never have to drive myself again. And I understand that I'm taking the risk though of working out bugs, getting software updates, hacking, whatever it is. I get that, and I'm willing to do it.
yeah. Let the first generation wealthy test monkeys give it a run.
Yeah, us wealthy. Wait, no, just kidding. Okay, so now on to some other cool things that I saw. These are the best gadgets I saw personally at CES. There's a ton of stuff on the internet, so you can go look it up for yourself if there's anything cool. But we're gonna go with the best gadgets we saw, and also the weirdest gadgets from CES. The second list is kind of more fun, but for me, the first one is a $9,000 laptop that's geared towards high-end gamers. Why you would spend $9,000 on a laptop that's the size of you, I don't know, but somebody made it. It has 64 gigabytes of RAM. It has a 21-inch screen, GTX 1080 video card. It has eye tracking. It has a 512 gigabyte solid state drive with RAID stripe. There is a more toned down version for about $2,600, but again, the specs are also smaller as well. But the big one with all the huge fans on it is about $9,000. So that's again, rich person kind of laptop, but for my bang for your bargain, I'm not going to carry something like this around. So unless I have like a space issue, I'd probably go with the piece like a regular tower PC and save like $3,000.
Yeah, and I would totally recommend not having that laptop
Oh
anywhere
no!
in a public park, especially with the name Predator right on the back of it.
I was not having it
Yeah.
anywhere near your balls because they are going to heat up and fry from that laptop.
You don't want kids? Go
Hey,
for it.
yeah, there you go. You go get this monster heater. Like I feel like this is the kind of laptop that could heat your house.
It probably will. It probably will. Those cold winter nights. Save yourself a little bit on the heating expenses and just turn on your laptop and get your game on.
Get your game on. That's what I say. Okay. Next tech thing that I liked was GeForce Now cloud gaming service. This is another in a long line of attempts to bring cloud gaming to the masses. Now, if you're not sure what cloud gaming is, that's where high-end servers run video games, and they just send the information to either your television or a small console or like a cheapy laptop or whatever. But essentially, it's bringing high-end gaming to your low-end devices, and you just pay like a streaming fee, whether it's a monthly charge or it's a charge per hour. In this case, NVIDIA is saying that they've got it right finally. Because all the attempts in the past have suffered from, like when you're watching videos on like Netflix or Hulu, and you get lag and it kind of messes up your movie experience. Imagine that.
Spinning.
Imagine that same thing happening with something that constantly updating and lots of high res information, not just things coming to you, but information you're sending to the computer as you're controlling a video game. It's really difficult.
Lag.
Exactly.
Lag.
And you need high bandwidth to get it done. And NVIDIA is saying that they've got it down. And their model is that they're going to charge you per hour of gameplay. It's $25 for 20 hours of gameplay. And I know it sounds like a lot, but imagine that that's two video games. You're not buying the video games either. You're basically paying it as a service. You know what I mean? So $25 for 20 hours of streaming gameplay to your computer or whatever, and it begins in March. So this isn't a dream concept. This isn't a concept thing. This is something they're actually implementing in only a couple months. I'm curious to see how it actually plays out because there's some services in like France that I've heard of that are actually doing this perfectly. Like it's really location based. Like they're not doing it to the US. It's just in France. So it can work. The potential is there. I'm just curious to see if NVIDIA has gotten it right. But as far as like the money goes, this is not bad. Imagine that you're not buying a $3,000 computer. You're not buying a bunch of like $60 games. So, or, a $500 console. So all that money that you would otherwise invest in those things, you're paying, $25 for 20 hours of game. Imagine I don't even play 20 hours of gameplay a month anymore as an adult. So let's say I'm just doing $20 a month. That's $25 a month to play video games and any games I want to in high res, as if they were on a super fancy computer. To me, that's not unreasonable. That seems pretty good, considering them not investing in the bigger $3,000 computer.
Well, to me, like any console gaming in general, it's all about the games themselves. Because
Sort of.
the controller itself, hopefully the function operates the way it's supposed to. But it's all about the games because
Yes,
I
but
would
on a
talk.
PC they look so much prettier, man. Like you played high end PC stuff
Oh
before?
yeah, I went
Okay.
to like a cafe that it was at the time was all tricked out, so that they had the latest whatever
Yeah.
until the next day when they had
Yeah,
to
it's
dump
just
all that and get some of the new
if
stuff
you're
in.
if you're a PC gamer and you have fancy rigs, you almost never go back to consoles as long as your rig is working because it's such a more pretty experience and your mouse and keyboard tend to work more flexibly than a console. It's hard to go back. I mean, the PS4 and the Xbox One do a really good job of getting higher end graphics, but for like decades, the PC market's still ahead by larger margins. And while that margin is shrinking, it's still a thing for a lot of like a lot of gamers.
The hardcores definitely will stick with the PC, and just the general audience, they're gonna stick to their consoles.
They might. Okay, on to our next gaming concept from CES, Project Ariana. Now, this is a very interesting thing. It comes from I'll read it off to you. Project Orion is a prototype video projector meant to provide ambience through Razer's Chroma system, which powers color shifting lights, keyboards, and mice. This is really just a concept. There was no release date. General figures have been like $3,000 for the projector system. So this is more concept than reality. But it basically going to do it's going to augment your regular video game experience. And if you're watching the video version of this, of course, you can see our wonderful video presentation we have with it, including the demo. But it basically projects onto your wall what you're looking at on your television screen, but also magnifies it. So it almost feels like your entire room, or at least part of your room, that the projector's hitting is part of the game. So this is almost an somewhere in between regular video gaming and augmented reality in a way. So I like the concept. I don't know that I would purchase it, but I thought it was cool enough to talk about on the show. And I think we talked about this a little before. Is this something that you would be interested? Let's say you had all the money in the world, you won the lottery. Would this be something that you would want in your home?
Money's no object, sure, why not? But it's just a matter of your personal preference on it. Because I talked about it before a little bit on like the concept. It's almost like a mock holodeck, if you will. Like in a perfect world, you would have like dark room, but with a white wall. So when it projects, it looks just like pretty
Yeah.
much just having large scale televisions all over. But you did talk about how it modifies and actually adapts to what
Yeah, it
your
has a
house.
it has a depth sensing camera, so when it projects over your television or your cabinets or whatever, it actually takes that into account when it'll actually warp the images so it still looks like it matches your television and is enhancing it. So that I think that's kind of cool. I like the idea of the augmented reality. I don't know that I would buy this. I'd be more likely to buy either a real Hololens thing or
Just stick to the
Gear
headgear.
VR
Yeah.
or Oculus or HTC Vive as an actual virtual reality experience, and it's going to probably cost me less
Yeah, because the
than the
last thing you
projector
need
thing. Yeah.
also is you're literally had to modify your home. You had
But
to,
I think this would be cool for party scenes. Like you can project like the movie on a larger thing, including like your television. You can do like kind of fun party music combinations. So I think for that kind of scene would work well, but not for gaming.
yeah, I think it's going to be more honestly if you especially if you've been outside this holiday season, you're seeing more projection onto the houses instead of stringing up your lights. They've added some effects on there. Like Disney had this one
Yeah.
where it's actually video effects. It's not just down to what do you call it?
Just some pretty lights, but also like moving videos maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like they've been modifying it.
And music,
It's-
yeah.
Yeah. Decorative technology has
Yeah.
evolved. So inside the house, cool. Outside the house, I think it's going to be better.
Yep, I definitely hope that that's going to be the case. But this is one of those cool tech because it's more like a concept thing, which I thought was cool. Now, talking about something else that I think was cool, that's really not practical at all. It is Project Razer's Project Valerie. It is a laptop that weighs 11 pounds. It has a 4K screen. It's going to cost you about $5,000. So not as expensive as that other one we talked about, but it's still rather pricey. Now, its thing is the fact that it has three screens that fold out. Three 4K screens. So you have one in the middle and two on the sides. And you probably might have seen these on like higher end PC rigs, but this is in laptop form. So all the screens fold in and out of the actual laptop, and it looks pretty fancy schmancy to me. And I think it was just kind of cool to look at and like, oh, I would love to have something like that if I had lotto winner money.
Yeah, and mostly on the type of games that I've seen, the multiple screens is usually racing games. Because usually you have your your main screen and your peripherals on the side. Very few times I've seen it done with like first person shooter games, which they're fun, but unless you have a surrounding kind of concept, almost like being in a dome like kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just having three screens together is literally just having.
Yeah, it's
three
not really
screens
practical
together.
for like spreadsheet database entry. I mean it can be. You can move things around, but it's definitely set up for like car gaming simulations. But even like regular first person shooter games, imagine instead of like your small screen, like your something a little wider, it feels a little more immersive, especially when you're up close and personal. Like your range of vision is almost entirely covered.
Oh.
So I think that's the appeal to gamers. But the price tag is definitely up there.
Because depending, once again, the functionality of the individual. One thing I could see it work for a lot of people that work in the entertainment industry for like video editing and whatnot. So
Yeah, but it would require like hiring video cards. It does require a special setup to run three screens that are kind of moving images around seamlessly between them. So I understand the price tag. I just don't like. I could spend that on a larger television.
it's true.
You know,
Big screen.
Big
that
screen,
you can
man.
separate into three sections.
absolutely. Okay, now onto our next bit of tech. This one was kind of cool to me. It's called the Blink Home Security Camera, and while you might not think security cameras are that fancy smancy CES worthy, this one lasts for up to 2 years without being changed the battery. So it lasts for up to 2 years on two AA batteries, and that's the thing. It's wireless, so you don't have to run wires into your house, inside or outside. You dismount it and you let it go. And I think that's kind of cool. The efficiency factor of this, it has night vision. It works at night. It works during the day. You have access to it from your phone or from the internet to like watch your video feeds. That's kind of the most annoying thing about a lot of do-it-yourself home security kits is the fact that if it's mounted wirelessly, you have to change the batteries out like every month. And if you forget, then it's just sitting there. Or you have to run wires through your house, like drill holes in your wall to power the thing. And so that's always a trade-off for me. And if you can do it this way, though, it's relatively inexpensive. It's $119 per camera, which is not that bad for an HD camera for home security. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. I thought it was cool. What do you think?
It's all a matter to me about how good the resolution is. Because don't get me wrong, the most inexpensive
1080p.
1080,
Yeah,
not bad. It's not exactly. Don't expect a GoPro attached to it.
No, but you're just checking to see if people are robbing your house. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not filming Hollywood scenes.
Yeah, like especially if it's gonna be continuous video or it's just gonna be, especially with the sensor, if it's just gonna do like the what do you call it, like the 5-10 second individual shots, but you won't get that continuous video flow. We'll see.
I'm curious to see how they're making it last for 2 years, though. That is kind of interesting. Whether it's going to be, like you said, a bunch of stills, or if it's going to be like a continuous feed mode, which might drain the battery a little bit faster.
Yeah, because unless it has like a little solar panel addition to it, to recharge itself when it's not being used.
That would be the
make
way
sense.
to go. Yeah, absolutely right. But that would only work for outside cameras, not the inside ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay. Well, again, I thought that was cool. Next story. You want to read this one?
There's
Curie robot.
Curie.
One more down. There you go.
There we go. Mayfield Robotics began taking pre-orders for its $700 Curie robot for shipping later in the year. It roams the house with a 1080p camera, dual speakers, 4 mics, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth, as well as support for IFTT. So, Kirby.
Kind of cool looking. I like it's a cute little robot. It definitely pays on the mighty. What is it? Mighty number 8 robot style of like cute, big-headed, big-eyed white robot kind of thing, and walking around your house. It looks like a smaller version of that guy. Big Hero 8. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Big Hero 8 kind of robot style. And I think he's kind of adorable. You can also use him as a home security system because he has remote access to video cameras, which seems kind of creepy if someone else has that access. That's always the downside of like these wireless home do-it-yourself security systems or these robots with cameras, is that if they're not secured, other people can look at that video footage and totally hack and watch you from your robot, which is super creepy. But it has 4 mics. It'll actually talk to you or your kids. It'll read your kids' stories and play with them. So that kind of justifies the $700 price tag a little bit.
Yeah, as long as they don't add any weapons to it, perfectly fine. Because unless you're very social awkward and just can't handle straight opinions from a robot telling you, you're fat or something like
The
that.
other thing is we should head up. This is beginning our weird tech for CES segment. So we're out of our cool stuff. This is just our weird CES stuff. But I think it's cool. If you had the money, would you buy it?
The robot?
Yeah.
They'll probably use it for target practice.
He'll use it for like gun part or like just paintballs because it's a $700.
Well, if it's for $700,
Yeah.
I want it to last.
There you go.
Only.
So Nerf gun target
Nerf
practice.
guns,
Okay,
yeah, the
there you
little
go.
suction cup things.
Yeah, it just walks around with a bunch of Nerf things on it.
Yeah.
You and the kid will have a great time.
Totally.
Okay. Next story: the fridge cam. If you've never heard of a fridge cam, neither had I until I saw this article. It is a camera that goes in your phone in your refrigerator, and it tracks expiration dates on your products. It'll actually when you pull it up on your phone or your laptop, it'll show you exactly what's in your fridge, and it'll show you like a timestamp, like, oh, these things went missing here, so you can see like when they're gone. It'll actually suggest recipes based upon the things that are in your fridge as well. So I think it's kind of a cool tech and use of a camera system that I hadn't thought of before. And I kind of like it. If it could automatically order things for me, I think it would be even better.
Well, yeah, I've seen a concept of it where it's the camera's installed, yes, into the fridge, but outside your fridge is actually the video monitor, so you actually can look inside your fridge without having to open the door.
Yeah. That's like the next step. Like some new refrigerators are doing this concept, but it's already built in. So like the outside has like a tablet screen. Mm-hmm. You just tap on it, and the camera comes up, and you can see what this one does. But this one's like an add-on to that kind of smartens up any dumb fridge that you currently have. So you don't have to pay the big dollars for that new fancy fridge just because it has a camera. You can buy like a small peripheral, stick it on your fridge on the inside, and change the batteries out every couple months, and it does the same thing. So I think this is a nice upgrade to refrigerators that already exist if you're into this kind of tech.
Yeah, once they once again, these other smart fridges, once they have the app, of course, connected to your phone. And yes, it does keep track of inventory, find out like what you're low on.
Yeah.
That way, when you're at the market and you're not sure, do we
I
have milk?
Yeah.
You look at it. I'm not sure. I need to look into the video feed of my inside of my fridge to verify that I know.
Now, alternative use for this is that you can watch your food go moldy because you're not eating your fruits and vegetables. So you can actually watch it in live, like time-lapse time, like it just shrinking and getting moldy and growing small fungal people.
Or to answer that ever-elusive question, does the light stay on?
Yeah, there you go. That's the other use of your fridge cam is to answer that eternal question. There we go. Now on to next story, the VR chanclas. If you're not sure what a chanclas is, it's also in English a sandal. Japanese firm Soribo, which sounds Spanish to me, is looking to take VR peripherals one step further. Dun-dun-dun. The company has released a set of VR shoes that let the wearer feel the world through their feet. The idea is that the footwear provides an immersive experience for those in digital worlds by generating a sense of stepping on the ground in virtual spaces, whether it's desert, sand, grassland, water, ice, wood. Apparently, the shoes provide enough tactile feedback that your feet, it feels like you're walking on different types of textured surfaces. So this is kind of a cool thing. But the reason I call it the chancla VR is because it looks like a bunch of chanclas. So
I thought I was expecting the whole thing. When I heard the VR one, there is actually a it's a joke, first-person shooter of you playing an old Mexican woman chasing down your kids with the sandal that you're literally, smacking. There's, your melee attacks to your kids, and then there's actually the projectile throwing of the chanclas as well. But this is going to be interesting because, once again, feeling the walking on certain things, you could only mimic so much. So it'd be an interesting.
They're the VR things then if you see them.
Yeah. So I think so I still think it's going to be interesting. I
think it'd be fun if, like, as a special of one of the game effects, like you have to take off your shoe, the VR shoe, and use it in virtual reality to hit, bad Mexican children and leave a mark that says "Hetero in Mexico."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but I would totally, just for curiosity, I want to try them out.
To see if they work.
Yeah, see if they work.
I would too. I mean, I don't know that I would buy it because they cost about $1,000, but to try them out and maybe, like, if they get cheaper as VR gets better, I would go for it. This would be like a way of getting a new sensation. Like they already do the stuff for your hands, for your face, and for walking around, but like actual sensation. It's like VR gloves for your feet.
Yeah.
So it's not. It would add more immersion, but at $1,000 a pair, I'm like, I don't need that much immersion. My feet are fine with the actual treadmill or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, but it is kind of weird. Next up on the weird stuff from CES is the AI toothbrush. That's right. It's a toothbrush with artificial intelligence, folks. I never thought I'd see it, but here it is. It has a Bluetooth connection to your phone, and it'll actually tell you how you're brushing. It'll use a bunch of sensors to tell where you're brushing your teeth, and it'll send you once a week an analysis of how well you're doing. Yeah, those eyebrows that are raised on this guy, that's what I said when I saw this dude. It's kind of a weird, quirky thing, but I thought it was kind of cool. It's also like $80 now or 130 retail, so it's not like super expensive compared to these $1,000 VR chanclas.
Oh yeah,
But
for oral hygiene care, it's just a matter. Do you care about your mouth? Some people pay.
I do. I pay that much to go to the dentist though.
Yeah, but some people will pay for like home cleaning systems that they, to be honest, don't really use, like those Sonicare water picks and all that kind of stuff. It's like,
Like somebody give us some love.
Hey,
maybe it was
Brian.
Brian Lane's watching on our live version of the podcast. So thanks, Brian, if that's you, and if it's someone else, thank you too.
Hey, man. It's once again, it's how do I say, the wealthy luxury of technology.
Yes, that's why it's on our weird tech stuff instead of like cool stuff we might actually buy someday.
Yeah, because honestly, for oral hygiene, if you will, old-fashioned toothbrush, just scrub. But I've seen some weird devices other than the water picks. I know they're trying to the one thing that if not every single person does not do, flossing. They haven't evolved the flossing technique yet.
It's rope with wax still. And it hasn't changed because it hasn't needed to.
Yeah. Toothpicks, even they've evolved in weird kind of ways. But
yeah, if there's an auto flosser, I think I'd be cool with that. Like you just a device you stick in it, it flosses all your teeth automatically.
Kind of scary.
That would be kind of cool. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you wouldn't pay for a toothbrush with wireless Bluetooth analytics, what about a hairbrush? Our next one is from L'Oreal and Witherings. It's a hairbrush, folks, with a Wi-Fi connection and a Bluetooth connection, an accelerometer, and a gyroscope to track how much you're brushing your hair, how hard, and how much breakage you inflict on your hair when you brush it. It's going to be $200. It's an actual product that's going to ship in 2017, and again connects to your phone to give you a bunch of like stats and information and to tell you if you're messing up your hair by the way you're brushing it and how to fix it. So it'll connect with like some other product stuff you can buy to fix your hair if you're messing it up, basically. I think this one is more likely to be purchased than the toothbrush one. What about you?
Nope on this one either.
Well, not for you, but,
No, but
do you think that there's a market for this then?
A market is for the clueless, very wealthy and clueless. Yes, but as for any Joe Schmo, not really. The only thing that I've seen in quote unquote brush technology for hair was those spinning ones. But both pros and cons depending on your hair.
You mean the spinning one that like you auto hair dry?
Kind of. Yeah, you just literally put it on and it kind of combs it for you. Well, it all just varies on your hair length. If you have short hair, perfectly fine. But if you have really long hair, too many revolutions, you get it literally all caught up in it. So I think they need to create eventually a safety feature for that. What they do, it doesn't crank and rip out the hair out of your scalp. But I did see, you ever see that horrible... Not horrible, it was just dumb. Somebody decided to get a power drill. Cob of corn, and girl decided to do the same thing with really long hair and just rip the roots right out of her scalp.
A little too much power for that kind of thing. Now, Hans Limus in the chat room says, "Am I late?" Yes, you are, but it's okay, man. We're talking about some of the cool, weird stuff that came out of CES this week. We talked about VR chanclas, some VR sandals that let you mimic different textures and walking on, which is kind of cool. We talked about the Bluetooth toothbrush that analyzes how you brush your teeth, and the Bluetooth hairbrush that analyzes how you brush your hair and sends you notifications for it. So far, Edgar's like, this is stuff I'm not buying, man.
No. But even as a gag gift, don't get me wrong, I think the only thing it would make me want to buy it is obviously they had to brand a novelty name to it.
Yeah, but for some of these are like $90 to like $300. So I don't know if I'd purchase them either. And Hans Limu's response is, what the hell? Exactly, man. This is the weird stuff from CES that we're talking about. we have a couple more things, so we'll get your opinion on this next one too. This one is the smart breast pump, which Edgar can read off.
Hey, I can see now. Willow's smart breast pumps are two individual motorized cups that mothers can slip into their nursing bras and go about their task instead of sitting down and waiting till they're done. Wireless, hands-free, on the go, just like me with breasts.
Yep.
But I don't know. Now that I obviously am a father, I've seen my wife bust out her breast pump thingy and seen the action, seen it work. It's if you're literally have to be on the go while you're getting your breast pumped, I say okay. But for do you really need to be on the go while you're getting your boobs literally sucked? But
Well, if you think about the way that real people live, I don't know any moms that are just home all the day anymore. So if you're out, if you have things to do in the world, like a
yeah,
real person, like you have to work, you have to go to the grocery shopping, you have to go get things, you have to live a life, and you still take care of your kid, but you still want to actually feed them breast milk on a regular basis because when you're breastfeeding, your boobs fill up on a regular basis, right? So
sure.
if you don't
Pump on a regular.
pump them, it hurts, it's painful, it can actually harm the milk that's coming out, like it'll hurt. So
I think it's just gonna
as
be
that
more
kind of product,
complications.
I think it's kind of cool that you don't have to be attached to like some wall for like an hour to pump your breasts on a regular basis. Like you can, like if you need to, you can just slip these things in your bra and go on with your daily business. Sure, it looks a little funny, but it's also less of a hassle than having to plug in this device per boob into the wall and be attached to the wall for like 20, 30, 40 minutes, whatever it takes to do it. So as an option, I think it's kind of a step up. And even Hans in the chat room says that one at least makes sense.
See, that's the pro part. The con is you're literally going to have to carry that because you had to have a storage compartment for the milk because you don't want it exposed and expire depending on the elements on there
Well, no,
and the
it
device
comes.
and everything.
It's a self-contained device, so like the bag on the inside can be swapped in and out. So it's set up to be safe and secure. But you're right, you do have, we need some kind of storage system
Oh yeah,
if you want to.
another
But
satchel, with it's almost like a
but
semi-colostomy slash urine bag, but
like if
to
you're
your
carrying a
breast.
baby, you're already used to carrying like a ton of stuff. So this might be like that extra thing that, like, oh, okay, for those mothers who are willing to like carry the extra couple pounds of weight, it might be worth it instead of carrying this huge monster thing with like a bottle in the front that looks like it's gonna kill you to milk your breast on a regular basis. Either way, you're carrying something, whether it's something with a cord or something without. At least this way, you can, when you're using it, slip into your bra, and there's your storage area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that one was kind of weird to me too. But I thought it was also definitely kind of cool. And Hans Limo's joke is free refills.
So pretty much the signs of tapping titties.
There you go. Okay, we have one more story from CES that was kind of weird, but I thought it was also super funny. It's going to be your smart chonies or your smart underwear. For those of you who are, English speakers, smart underwear. They basically claim to keep your manly bits safe from all the cell phone radiation by incorporating silver fibers that create an electromagnetic shield. So if you're worried about your cell phone hurting your manly bits, preventing you from having kids in the future, or just blocking radiation, this might be the thing for you. It also connects to an app that'll tell you exactly how protected you and your boys are. So there you go.
I think it's smart underwear for laptop users for sure because we talked about that of laptop people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Radiation right there.
Oh
You
yeah,
have
the
all the heat.
radiation.
Yeah.
I've
Should have thermal dampeners in there.
Oh yeah, because before I had my kid, there was that one possible scare because I was that guy. I literally had the laptop on my laptop, so playing game and everything. I would feel the heat. At the time, I even got one of those fanning units, thinking it would cool it down.
Yeah.
But does
No,
cooling
wait,
down still spreads the radiation?
did you put the fan up towards the laptop or down towards your boys?
Yes.
Yes, one of those two. It was that one, yeah.
I've done it for both because I wanted to cool down the system, but also I needed to cool down my system.
Yep,
'Cause it was,
very much so.
Hot and bothered.
Okay, so I was mistaken. We have one more story. This is a smart trash can, and I'll have Edgar read this one.
Jenny Can makes it easier to build your grocery list through a scanner on your trash can. Through a partnership with Amazon's Dash replenishment service, Jenny Can can also automatically order popular items like diapers, paper towels, and snacks once they have been thrown away or recycled. When you run out of a product, you can scan an item before throwing it away to quickly add it to the grocery list. Items without a barcode can also be effortlessly added by holding the item in front of the Genie cam for a couple of seconds and using voice recognition technology to instruct the device.
Yep. So this is kind of cool. This is like a smart way of trash management, also doubling as list creation stuff. Because if your stuff's going in the trash, it does make sense to the right that you might need it again. And so it kind of gives you as a user the option of either scanning the barcode before you throw it away, or like taking a picture of the item saying, "Oh, I need these new things." Because there are some things that you just use and reuse, and you either have to make a list of that on the refrigerator, write them down, or this is another option. This one actually will automatically order them for you, so you don't even have to go to the grocery store. So Amazon will fulfill all these orders, put it in a container, and just ship it to you on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. So that might be another cool way of doing this.
Oh, I totally get it. There's it's a modern way of keeping track of your inventory.
Yeah.
Especially if you're ordering on a regular.
It's basically inventory management for the house, the same way they do it at the grocery store. Mm-hmm. Like as things go missing, it's already scanned out so that the grocery store's computer system say, "Oh, we're down to this much stuff. Mm-hmm. You need to order new stuff," and then it's automatically delivered. And so that's kind of the same inventory management that you'd have for your home. They're absolutely right. You're 100% correct. Now, Hans Limos in the chat room is saying he doesn't think anyone would bother doing that for the trash can, but he agrees with you on the cooling the boys and the laptop with the same pan kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So thank you very much for your input, Hans. All that does make sense. So and that'll be the end of our section on weird things from CES. So it was kind of fun. I appreciate you guys hanging out. We're going to do one more section before we go. The stuff we're looking forward to in 2017. A bunch of lists have come out this week for things that are coming up for 2017, new video games, new movies, and we kind of scroll through the list to see what we liked and what we didn't, and what we were looking forward to. So we're going to begin with video games. There's a ton of video games coming out in 2017, including Mass Effect, Horizon Zero Dawn, Persona 5, Legend of Zelda, Prey, Days Gone By, Detroit Becoming Human, Vampire, Marvel vs. Capcom, Red Dead Redemption. There's a bunch of stuff video game-wise. What are you looking forward to?
Marvel vs. Capcom. I just had to make not only the transition, but the effort to actually buy a PS4 system.
Okay, so you plan to get the PS4 then?
I think I have to if I want to get these games.
The Slim or the Pro?
Ooh. Wasn't it just like was it $50 or $100 difference?
There is a pretty significant difference, like $50 or $60, yeah.
Yeah, so if it's that much, might as well go, pay the difference and just go to the top of the line.
Go Pro, which is what I think they're hoping for. So you were going to get that system specifically for Marvel vs. Capcom?
Yeah, because Red Dead Redemption 2, most likely, I think that's going to be in all systems. I have it for the Xbox. It's a fun game.
Now this is going to be Red Dead Redemption 2, right?
It's pretty much Grand Theft Auto during cowboy times.
Yeah.
So and it's fun. It was fun just passing the time, even if you're just killing squirrels.
I haven't played it, so I couldn't say that I'm super excited about it. Now the two games that I was super interested in was Mass Effect Andromeda, which I've been looking forward to since Mass Effect 3 came out and finished that particular trilogy. That comes out in only a couple months, in March 21st, so I don't have too much longer to wait. And the other one that I'm looking forward to is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, this one isn't on the PS4, which is what I have. This would require getting a Nintendo Switch, which I might do.
I've been tempted.
But
myself.
assuming I have the money to do so, that would be another game that I'm really looking forward to because they're adding RPG mechanics into the system. And if you've seen the trailers for this game, if you're even remotely a Zelda fan or a Nintendo fan, you know what I'm talking about, man. It's super cool.
They showed a little bit of gameplay, also live gameplay on. They had the the CEO whatever of a Nintendo on the Jimmy Fallon show, and Jimmy Fallon was showing his geek side hardcore. Yeah. He was like flipping out, kicking out, like oh my god. So you got to feel it. It looks pretty smooth. The transition, I did see the stills of the RPG element of it, of anything from modifying your attire
crafting,
to your
cooking. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's gonna be fun. So for those hardcores, they're gonna have some basic gameplay on it for just about anybody to play. But for those people that are specifically into the RPG element, just click that option, get on there, and personalize it to your liking.
Yeah, this definitely feels like the first improvement in the franchise in a very long time. It's an open world, so it's not You're not on rails. You're not limited to some maps. You can go anywhere you want to. And because the RPG element, it feels fresher than the Zelda franchise has felt in a very, very long time to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I just can't wait, especially for the Switch system. Once it releases, what other titles are going to have available?
I think that this is not going to be on the Nintendo Switch as a release, unfortunately, but it is going to be coming out pretty soon after that, according to internet things that people have said.
My thing is, like, honestly, if it wasn't for the Mario Creator, I thought they were done.
Yeah, Mario Maker. Yeah,
Mario Maker. Yeah.
They've also gone into the handheld system though with Mario games on your Android and iPhone device. And just recently, Capcom also released the first 5 or 6 games for Mega Man onto both Android and Apple. So there a lot of these game companies are re-releasing their older titles finally, officially for handheld devices.
Yeah, because they've done at least for the Mega Man series, they have, I think for PlayStation or PlayStation 2, I had it. They did have a little like R-Type had the same option where you actually could flip back to the 8-bit tech or 8-bit screen settings on it, so you play like your old school Nintendo game, or flip it back to the modern upgraded CG'd out character. But it's the exact same game, same gameplay. It's smooth. It's great. It's pretty much they just took the basic framework from the 8-bit game and just updated the graphics and everything on it.
Yeah.
So if you want the old school nostalgia, play your 8-bit. If you like the updated version, go
but
CG.
it makes sense that they're finally putting on phones because your phones are more powerful than that NES and that Sega system that came originally. So I don't see why they waited this long, but I'm glad they're finally getting them. And then as long as they work well, that's what I'm looking for. Totally. But those are the games we're looking for 2017. If you're looking forward to something else, let us know in the chat room, guys. We're also going to be talking about the movies from 2017 that we're looking forward to seeing. There's a ton of things coming out. Of the list that I saw, these are the ones that I like the best, and I'll pick 2 out of the end. But Alien Covenant, Star Wars Episode 8, Spider-Man Homecoming, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Thor Ragnarok, which you talked about a little bit earlier, some casting and speculation, synopsis, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Logan, Ghost in the Shell, The Dark Tower, and Valerian and the City of the Thousand Planets. Those are all things that I thought were kind of cool. But of those listed, man, if you had to pick 2, if the United States passed a law and said you could only watch 2, man, and that was your limit, what 2 would you watch?
On this list, Star Wars Episode 8 and Spider-Man Homecoming.
There you go.
The other ones are very tempting. Don't get me wrong. I want to see Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I do want to see pretty much all the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Comic book
These are all cool movies. We're probably going to watch them all. But if you had to pick those 2, why did you pick those 2? Why did you pick Star Wars Episode 8 and Spider-Man?
Because I got hooked. I got hooked on the Star Wars, so I want to see how the story continues. And, of course, Spider-Man, I want to see, Mr. Peter Parker doing it in high school all over again. I want to see their, I don't want to call it their interpretation, but, their version, since this is semi-reboot. But it's now that it's connected to the Marvel Center universe. I love that screenshot of seeing both Iron Man and Spider-Man swinging.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy to see Spider-Man and some other characters from that Marvel universe together. Because for so long it was just Spider-Man and his villains, and that was it. They didn't acknowledge anybody else. But finally, Spider-Man is where he belongs in the Marvel universe with Iron Man, with all the other Avengers. I call them the mini Avengers. So I like that part as well. I wasn't excited as excited as you are for those things. I think they're cool, and I'm going to watch it. But there were 2 films that I thought were kind of cool. Before we hit that, Hans is in the chat room saying he's looking forward to, of those listed, Justice League and Star Wars, which is kind of cool. I like those as well, man. Star Wars, I'm a big fan of, but I think 2. I'm looking for originality. Like, I've seen a bunch of superhero films, so I like them, but if I only had to pick 2, I want to see something a little more original. So I'm going to go with Alien Covenant, which might not sound original, but because it's being redone in the vein of that kind of reboot style, I'm hoping it's going to be more fun and be better than the other stuff. But also The Dark Tower. So The Dark Tower is something that's entirely original for the movie world. It's been a very popular book for, probably 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
Stephen King, if you've read them, they're probably the only fantasy series that Stephen King has ever written. And they're really popular with both Stephen King fans and, fantasy readers. Because they have a Stephen King vibe without being like horror driven, but they're really creepy and stylized. and they go into parallel universes, and it's not a straight good versus bad evil story. There's a lot of subtle nuances between the shades of gray and what you're willing to do to get revenge or protect your people that you love. And it never really goes in the directions you think it does traditionally, which is a big thing that I look for as far as originality goes. Now that's the Dark Tower one. Of course, Alien Covenant is just a fun horror movie, and I'm hoping to finally see a good one. It's been too many years for me where the Alien versus Predator stuff was happening, and the Alien movies just weren't up to snuff. I liked the last one, but it didn't really feel like an Alien movie. And I'm hoping that this is going to be the one that brings back the love for aliens. And Hans in the chat room agrees with something I said. I'm not sure. And his other comment was Meg.
Meg.
Meg, yeah. I don't know what that means.
But anyway, I agree with the Justice League. Honestly, don't get me wrong. Batfleck's going to be cool. Everybody else is cool. But
oh, okay. His question is, does Meg come out in 2017 or 2018? I don't know.
Which one's Meg, man?
Hey, you got IMDb right there, man.
Is it?
It's there.
I'm gonna type it in.
I'm not sure what Meg is, to be honest.
But
I only know Meg is the character from Family Guy. And I'm like, if they're making a movie based on her.
Oh, here you go. 2018, Ruby Rose. But yeah, Justice League, dude. Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
I'm honestly more excited to see Wonder Woman than I am Justice League, because I think Wonder Woman comes out first. I believe so. And I like the historical aspect of, just like I like Captain America, the very first one, as almost an historic comic piece. I kind of like Wonder Woman for the same respect, because it's not just a superhero movie. It's a historic superhero movie, which I think is kind of a cool as an extra shade of stuff. But Meg apparently does come out in 2018.
So it's a shark movie, dude. No, just read it right now. When a submersible lies disabled at the bottom of the Marina Trench, an expert deep sea diver is forced to confront his fears and risk everything. Could the MacLeod still be alive? And hey, man, that's Jason Statham in it.
This feels like a sci-fi original movie, like Sharknado or something. The Megalodon is still alive. I'm not trying to bash it. That's what the description sounds like to me a little bit of. Whether it's going to be a better Jaws movie. To me, every single shark movie after Jaws has always tried to mimic it, and they've never reached that same level of anticipation, because that was the first time it had been done, with that underwater scare effect. I'm afraid of sharks now kind of thing. Everything after that just kind of mimics it, and whether or not they do it successful or not, it's always compared to that original Jaws movie. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's what this is going to be, and hopefully it does great. Hopefully it doesn't. But Hans says it's hopefully better than a sci-fi movie.
Hey, don't get me wrong. The sci-fi movies, they developed a cult following.
Yep,
that's why they come up with those ridiculously awesome titles,
but for like a real
Sharktopus, the hybrid. What was the last one? The tarantula lava monster. They're just insanely awesome.
They definitely go back to that B movie vibe.
Oh yeah,
that just weird stuff you're putting on the screen because it's people don't take it seriously, and you have a bunch of television and movie actors that are just kind of looking for work. So it's almost like I like these other people. I'll watch this movie and I'm kind of get into this weird kind of not serious movie, and I just enjoy it as this kind of farce. Mm-hmm. But it's also a genre piece that's fun. And Han says, my mom's one of them.
I don't want to claim. Because I did say Sharktopus and Tarantula Monster. So
I'm not sure what he's saying there. But he says his mom is one of them. Hans
I heard she's a lovely lady.
I hear so too, man. I don't know why you talked about your mom that way, but we'll leave it to you to say so, buddy. Yeah. I think, I get the joke.
But totally, man. The movies are going to be ridiculous. They're going to be awesome. Nothing...
Yeah, because we'll watch all those. They're gonna listen.
The only one that's kind of, at least for me, up in the air, which I'll probably cough up my money just to settle my curiosity, will be the Power Rangers movie coming out in March.
Yeah. I almost listed that as something I'm looking forward to, but it's just outside the wheelhouse. I'm like, if I had to choose between those guys, that's definitely on the bottom of the list.
Yeah,
it's something I don't mind watching on DVD or straight to video on Netflix. It's not that amazing unless it gets like stellar reviews. It's probably something I'm going to skip. That's just me personally.
All right, so Hans brought it up. So she's a cult follower,
Oh.
but not that kind of way.
Okay.
But, okay, total. Hey, everybody has their thing, so I'm not.
Hey
knocking
man,
it.
yeah, Hans in the chat room. I get. Okay, I get it now. She's a cult follower of that kind of film.
That's cool.
She's not
That's
one
cool.
of those films. Okay, I got it. Thank
Yeah.
you very much for clarifying
Thank you,
that,
yeah.
man. We appreciate that.
Yeah, but totally, man. Unless you can think of something else that's coming out, it's still early.
No, there's a whole list of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just those are the ones I thought were kind of cool.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be it. Those are the things we're looking out for 2017. Hans in the chat is asking about the Power Ranger movie. We just commented on that, so
Yeah, if anything, if you see some, what I've learned
yeah,
more of it.
I'm gonna know
they
at the
should-
movie theater unless it gets great reviews. Edgar's like a yeah maybe.
I'll go. I'm a curiosity. I'll go see it. I'll go see a train wreck.
Yeah.
Just to see what all the big fuss is about. You know,
Yeah.
because that's how with me.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. My curiosity. I went to go see Passion of the Christ. Not because I'm a religious guy. I just wanted to see what it's all about. Brokeback Mountain. I wanted to see what all the big fuss was about. So I saw Brokeback Mountain. So that was kind of deal. That was the thing with me. So I'm gonna go check out this Power Ranger movie. They're both, with Bryan Cranston. Hopefully, I'm not expecting him to save the movie.
Like I
in any
hope
kind of
that
way.
it's a good movie. Really, I do, but I don't expect it to be, and I'm not going to spend my dollars on hope.
Yeah, but
unless it's a new hope.
But see the toy review kind of stuff. They actually shown some of the Zords, if you will. There's weird hybrids, so don't expect your '90s Power Rangers at all. Not even the movie '90s Power Rangers at all. So
And Hans is saying he's looking forward to the new Dragon Ball Super arc in February of 2017. I am as well. I'm assuming you're the one that's finally finishing up the original Dragon Ball Z arcs and doing an entirely new storyline. I think is that the one that's coming in the Cartoon Network potentially?
Super
Yeah, might be.
Dragon Ball Super.
I haven't been watching that arc because for the longest time it's just been rehashing the old story. And if it's going to come out with some new storylines, I might pick it up again. I don't know, but there's a ton of other anime that I'm watching currently that's taking a while. Like, was it Iron Blooded Orphans is also great. You can catch it on I think Hulu and Crunchyroll. There's a bunch of other cool stuff on there. So there's a bunch of other things that I watch every season anime-wise, which we're probably not going to have time to get into. But thank you, everyone. That's kind of it for the show. Thank you for watching and supporting the podcast and taking the time to hang out with us while we chat about these geek stuff that we love, guys. We appreciate it. And if you want to support us, you can always do so at
geekbytespodcast.com/support.
Yep. And that's it for us, folks. Thanks for watching and listening. Hans, thanks for chatting with us in the chat room. Thomas Freeman, thanks for joining us at the very end.
Hey, Danny. Hey, Thomas.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for chatting. You can rewatch the video or when we put up the finished product with all the nice little videos and pictures in there at geekbytespodcast.com or on our YouTube page.
Yeah.
Just look for
Once
Geek
again,
Bytes
drop the
Podcast.
feedback. Join in the conversation. It's
there.
all fun.
But for Geek Bytes Podcast, I am Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Acosta.
And remember, folks,
Go geek out about something.
there you go.
All right, guys.